Now we have some exciting news regarding Minnesota Vikings tight end TJ Hockenson. Hockenson and the Minnesota Vikings have started contract negotiations. Now, all Vikings fans know Hockenson's name as he was pretty much a top three tight end in the National Football League, which the Vikings traded for halfway through the season with the Detroit Lions. Now, overall trade, it was a third, fourth round pick and a conditional pick, I believe. But I like to say second round pick in total value, pretty much, because that's pretty much what the entire trade was worth. Now, Hawkinson in the first half of the season, well, he played 7 games with Detroit and 7 games and 10 games with the Vikings. Now, in those 7 games with Detroit, he racked up 395 yards, 3 touchdowns on 15.2 yards per reception with 43 targets and 26 receptions. Now Hawkinson in Minnesota for just 10 games racked up 83 targets, 60 receptions, 520 yards, 8.7 yards per reception, and 3 touchdowns as well. Now, this is really, really big because Hawkinson really exploded with the Vikings. Now, I know you can argue that he put up the same numbers, but if he would have been with the Vikings, which they utilized him much, much more, I feel like Hawkinson could have really, really been a 1,000-yard tight end in the NFL. I know he was close. He racked up around 914 yards and 6 touchdowns. If he would have played with the Vikings the entire season, I think he would have surpassed 1,000 yards and possibly more. Now, Hawkinson is definitely arguably and rightfully so, a top three tight end in the NFL. As I would not put him above George Kittle or obviously Travis Kelce, who is the best in the league, but I would put him over Mark Andrews for the 2022 season. Now, don't get me wrong, Mark Andrews is a great tight end, but he did not play well at all in the 2022 season. Now, if we look at Travis Kelce's contract, just to give you a gauge about what Hawkinson possibly might be getting, is $20 million guaranteed, plus plus I believe $6 million in bonuses per year. So it's a $14 million average salary and $6 million in bonuses. Now I feel like Hawkinson could get paid around $13-14 million in base salary and a $3 to $5 million bonus. So let's say it's a $13 million salary. It's a total hit of $18 million. Now, if we're looking at next year's cap and how that affected next year's cap, we'd be down to $102 million cap for 2024, and this year we'd be down to, I believe, negative $15 million cap space. Now, that's not even regarding the Jefferson extension, which could possibly bring the Vikings down if they don't do his fifth-year option this offseason, just resign Jefferson right now. I believe that will be, well, no, that's next year. I'm sorry. But I'm thinking ahead right now. Anyway, Hawkinson would bring the Hawkinson extension would be actually better for the Vikings to do right now because he will be cheaper now than possibly next season, and it's really important to get Hawkinson now because if we don't sign Hawkinson this instant, he's going to hit free agency. Oh, and some teams can scoop him up, and we don't have a top 5 tight end, top 3 tight end in the league to help relieve some pressure off Jefferson, and we would have to go to the draft and draft another position, which we do not want to do. I know not Nick Mullins, I'm blanking on his name, but the Vikings tight end is pretty good, but we just need elite level tight end and TJ Hockenson. And the Vikings, they really, really need to get a wide receiver too, and Hockenson really stepped it up in the playoff game, pretty much earning his stripes as we all witnessed. Hockenson carried the Vikings offense pretty much as Jefferson got shut down. And we need KJ Osborne is not a wide receiver too, I believe in my mind, so the Vikings will probably be drafting either quarterback, wide receiver, or DB first round, and I'll get into that in another video. But Hockenson needs to stay around for the Vikings because he was that outlet of support for Jefferson when Jefferson couldn't get open or was getting triple teamed. And if the Vikings bring back Hockenson, it really opens up a whole deal of things for this offense. Kevin O'Connell won't have to be restricted in his playbook. It's just overall a great thing for the Vikings to bring back TJ Hockenson. Now, we don't like to talk about the Giants game as the Vikings lost that. They We're 13-4. They lost to 9-7-1 Giants, and they were underdogs at their own home stadium. For the Vikings, they just really need to get Hockenson back. I think that's number one priority, to get Hockenson back and make sure you have that second outlet for Jefferson. I am hopeful that the Vikings won't fuck this up, but looking next year's cap, Hockenson would bring it down to $102 million plus like $40 million Jefferson extension would put the Vikings at $60 million in cap space. Plus, they'd need a Hunter extension if they want to extend them, and all those other extensions. So the Vikings realistically would have around $30-40 million cap space next year after all those extensions to bring in somebody. Now, Hockenson can really, really help or be a cap casualty to this team if Hockenson cannot produce, which is very unlikely, but that's my take. This is All Eyes North. Catch you guys in the next one.
For 3-on-2. Brutus to Marshall. He scores! Throw